All right, so welcome back to the shop. We're going to do a quick overview of the Evolution metal cutting circular saw here. This particular model is the S185CCSL. It uses a 7¼ inch carbide tipped metal cutting blade. So there's a look at that blade. A lot of heavy use on this. If you've been watching the channel for any period of time, you've seen that I have built a lot of projects. So where these really come in handy is making long cuts on plate steel, sheet steel, and things such as that, where you can't use a traditional circular saw. What's worth noting is Evolution saws are speed matched RPM wise to these metal cutting blades. You'll see some people talk about taking metal cutting blades, putting on regular circular saws. Just be careful doing that because the RPMs are different and often those will overspin what this blade's designed to do. So this is a lot like your typical circular saw. It does have a stamped steel base right here. Here's your depth adjustment on the back. So you can adjust the depth up and down. This is all pretty standard stuff. You can also adjust the degrees if you want to make an angled cut. The saw does come with a guide that you can slide in here to guide you along a piece of steel, and you can clamp that down right here. Again, all standard, very common features. Here's your blade lock. You use an Allen tool to remove this blade. I just put my second blade on, so let's go ahead and talk about that. I don't have a whole lot of cutting on this particular blade, but here's a look at those carbide teeth. These are still in really good shape. Occasionally, you'll get a busted tooth just like that one right there. I have a big Evolution saw and I've got some chipped teeth on that. It's still cutting very, very good, but eventually if enough of those chip, you will be replacing this blade. Now the blades are relatively affordable, 30 some odd dollars on Amazon's where I've been getting mine, but I wrecked my last blade. I was cutting a piece of 3/8 inch thick steel, a big tube, trying to make a cut around it, and because it was a tube shape, it actually pinched close on my saw blade and knocked a bunch of teeth off and wrecked it. So I would recommend sticking to cutting flat pieces of steel with this, whether that's square tubing, which I have cut, made long 45 cuts on, say 6-inch square tubing, flat steel, plate steel, flat bar, any of that stuff it cuts just fine. 2x2 square tubing. I would just avoid big, large diameter round pieces like very large pipe. That's when you'll get some flexing issues that can pinch and damage your blade. It's not the saw's fault, it's just the amount of tension that steel is underneath. Now it tends to discharge the chips somewhat out the side, but honestly I find with all of the Evolution saws or the cold cut saws, it throws chips everywhere out in your shop. So you're going to want to get you a face shield or some really good safety glasses. But I always wear this face shield when working with this saw because chips not only come backwards, but they go forward everywhere in the shop. Now with that said, the chips are just a part of the game here. I would much rather have the chips than the abrasive dust from abrasive cutoff wheels or saws themselves. That stuff will wind up everywhere in your shop and will actually rust over time. Plus it's really bad for your lungs. This saw has been quite powerful. I'm going to go to a couple video clips here. I've cut everything from really thick plate steel. I've cut 1/4 inch steel. I've cut 1/2 inch thick steel. I've cut 3/8 plate steel, which is on my welding tabletop right here. Made very long cuts there. I've cut angle iron, big square tubing, all kinds of stuff. So I'll allow a few clips to play right here so you can see some of the projects that I've been using this on. But who would have ever thought a small circular saw like this could cut through like 1/2 inch plate steel and just keep going? This has been a game changer for my shop. The other thing worth noting, the cut that this leaves behind is a finely polished cut. It looks beautiful, very little makeup or grind down work or finish work, I should say. For example, if you've ever cut anything with a plasma cutter, you're left with a lot of slag at the end, or a torch, for example, a lot of cleanups left behind. Hardly none of that with a cold cut saw like this. This has been a wonderful addition to the workshop, and especially for no more than they cost, they will save you when making long rips on plate steel and other things like that really no other tool does a very good job on. All right, so hopefully those video clips showed you the capabilities of this saw. This is a fantastic addition to the shop. Again, it does things that no other tool that I own can. It's just wonderful for cutting large pieces of steel. And don't hesitate to use it on thicker like 3/8 plate like this or anything else. I have found that as long as you go nice and slow, it cuts through it far quicker than you could have ever realized. So I'll put a link down in the description where I picked mine up. I got mine from Amazon. This is not a sponsored video. If you use that link, it doesn't cost you a dime extra, and I do earn a small commission on it, so it does help support the channel so we can continue to make content like this. Hopefully this answered some of your questions of the capability of this Evolution saw. If you have any questions, drop a comment. We'll catch you on the next video.